Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. We are talking about we moved to Portugal. Now what? So we're going to go into the extensive kind of what we did for the visa process. Jamila and I had both done the visa process differently. I decided to apply in the States. Jamila did it in Portugal. So we're going to go through that and then talk about health insurance and that type of thing. So many of you know I did the application in Washington, D.C. And I just recently got my residency visa. And Jamila can kind of explain that whole difference, but there is a difference between your residency visa and your actual like residency. And so I've gotten a lot of questions about how do you show your 6 months accommodations. So I mean, you could do it however way you want. I mean, I know there's some fear there because it was fear for me. So first of all, I did 3 months initially and they sent me home. You need 6 months.
You need 6 months.
I didn't know that when I first went there. So I did 3 months and initially I was sent home and they said I have to have 6 months. So usually hotels, and basically what's going on with COVID, you may have some extra anxiety about booking because the refund policy has been kind of crazy. And in the event that your visa does not get approved, you definitely don't want to have to be stuck with 6 months worth of accommodations. So hotels tend to have a better refund policy. So if you want, you can book hotels for, let's say, the first month to 3 months. And you're just making a reservation. So they're not going to necessarily charge your card. And then let's say the later part of it, you can go to Airbnb. So that way you're extended out enough that if you have to get a refund from Airbnb, you're already 3 months out. So you should be fine getting a refund. Granted, COVID has changed some things. So you definitely want to check. Also check out booking.com because booking.com, in the booking, it will say, and you can book stuff for a month there. They have some listings that will allow you to pay when you get there and offer good refunds and all that other stuff. So just check that out. Hotels and booking.com, you can easily see refund. But again, because we're in the middle of a pandemic, guys, check what that is. But you will need to show 6 months of residency. Anything to add to that, Jamila?
No, I think that's it. And as Cinnamon pointed out, the process for getting your visa in order to come to Portugal and then have your appointment for your residency with SEF are two different processes. So it's important to think about those separately. My process was initially supposed to be the same process as Cinnamon because I did plan on traveling back to the US for my meeting with the Portuguese consulate for our visa in New York. But then COVID happened. So our flight in March got canceled, our appointment got canceled, America got crazy, and we kind of said, you know what, we're going to try to figure out the best way to stay in Portugal and apply for our residency directly. So our process has been a little bit different than what Cinnamon is going through.
And talk about that a little bit.
So for us, in order for us to stay here, the process we go through is called submitting a manifestation of interest. And under that manifestation of interest, the route that we have taken is that we're here as self-employed contractors. So that required us to get registered into the Portuguese tax system. We have to have a service contract, which I was able to use my own company to issue to myself and my husband. And that helps us to conditionally show that we have the working means to be able to stay in Portugal. And in addition to that, we are working on getting a 1-year lease because it's required that you have a contract once you're here to show that you have a place to live, the health insurance. So there's a few things pretty similar to the visa situation that Cinnamon will have to go through. But I'd say the major difference is that because we applied for our residency from inside the country and we didn't come in with a visa, we are not allowed to leave Portugal. So that is a little bit difficult. And right now they're pretty backed up with SEF appointments in the country. So our lawyers are telling us it could take us possibly 12 to 18 months until we get into SEF. So right now with COVID, you know, we're happy to be here. It's the situation works. I can't say a year from now how I'm going to be feeling about not being able to leave the country. Like I'm not in that trapped phase, but I would say if you have the opportunity, come here with a visa. It will make your process so much more easy and flexible. And it will basically allow you to skip the line for all of us people who are applying in country. Because when Cinnamon gets here, her appointment's in November. And I already put my application in months ago, and I don't even know when my appointment will be. So it's definitely a difference.
Yeah. So again, for those of you just joining us, there's kind of like two separate paths we took to residency visa. I did mine in the States. And when I got my visa, it took about 40 days for anyone who's interested. And I did this during COVID. So many of you know I moved to Portugal last year, but I was shucking and jiving, and I did more of a tourist visa type thing. And I would kind of keep going back and forth. And I didn't do the residency visa initially because I knew there was some limitation as to how many times I could come back to the States, where I heard there was some limitation as to how many times I can come back to the States. So I didn't decide to do that. Then COVID hit, and they were like, we ain't let nobody in who's not a resident. And I was like, oh, girl, I better get my life together.
Yeah. Well, and I just wanted to say really quickly, because to your point, Cinnamon's coming here on a residency visa. Michael had asked, I thought Americans could not go to Portugal now. Americans cannot come on a tourist visa, which effectively is a visa that you don't need a physical visa for. As Americans, we're allowed to travel throughout the Schengen region, which is most of the EU countries, for 90 days on a tourist visa. So what Cinnamon has obtained is a residency visa, and that's why as an American, she's allowed to come here now.
Right.
Just to answer your question, Michael.
No, I appreciate that. So, and again, what you guys have to understand is there's the residency visa, and then when you get to Portugal, you still have to go apply for residency. So I told you guys from the last live that mine expires in 4 months. But when they gave me my visa, it had a date that I go to the SEF office already scheduled. And what Jamila is saying, like, look,
I might get to SEF in 2022. Who knows right now? No. But in all honesty, it's 12 to 18 months. So that time frame is very different.
I wasn't sent back to the States, Sherry, and I'll answer all the questions in order. I wasn't sent back to the States. What happened was it's a long story. So I came back to the States to go on vacation. I went to Curacao, and then I broke up with my boyfriend. So between all that, I was like messed up emotionally for like weeks. And I was staying with my best friend because we had just came back from vacation. And then COVID hit. And so when COVID initially hit, they were saying it's like the flu. And I was like, well, I don't never get the flu, so I'm good. And then the borders shut down. So then I was like, oh, okay, well, what do I do now? So then it was like, then I had to get surgery, even if, I had surgery, and that recovery was like 6 weeks. So I was kind of, and while I was doing that, I decided to go ahead and fill in the residency so I can get back to Portugal because my whole life is over there. So, that's what happened. They didn't send me back, honey. But
I remember you left for vacation. I thought you were going to be back in like 2 weeks.
I had a suitcase for 1 week's worth of clothes. Okay. And now I'm coming back with a massive amount of stuff as I'm looking at it right now. Like, how did I accumulate all of this stuff in that short amount of time? I'm so disgusted with myself. So yeah, can we, what are we doing on time? We're good on time. So can we talk about the health insurance for a bit? So Jamila has gone through the whole process of health insurance, and you will need that when you take your
residency.
Right. So talk about that.
So when you meet with the SEF, which is the immigration department here in Portugal, to have your residency appointment, part of that requirement is that you have health insurance. So before I left, before we were planning to go back to the States. So before we left, we were getting everything in order so we could go back and apply for our D7. And part of that was getting our health insurance. So we do have health insurance here in Portugal through a healthcare provider. We actually pay for it monthly through our bank account, direct debit. It was really easy to set up. We pay about 35 euros a month each. And it's pretty decent coverage. I'm actually dealing with a medical issue right now, and I was in the hospital earlier this week, and I spent around 100 euro was my copay, but I was able to get 2 scans done, see a doctor, get a follow-up. So the healthcare is relatively affordable. And one thing I would say as an entrepreneur who works for myself, that was really attractive about Portugal, because the quality of care is pretty high if you go private, and it's very affordable.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to add to that, which I thought about the experience, is that Jamila was able to see specialists in the same day. Now, I have never had to go to a specialist. Well, usually when I have to go to a specialist, they will schedule a point 2 to 3 months out. And to be able to have a situation and then see a specialist the same day, that has never happened to me in the US. I got to go to a whole nother office to schedule whatever type. And so to get that level of care and get it done quickly is different and affordable.
And affordable.
And affordable. I'm going to go in and answer some of the questions that were emailed in first, guys, and then we'll go into your Q&A. Okay.
So, Michael, to answer your question, you can get a residency visa even with COVID-19 if you follow the steps. That Cinnamon just did that. So you definitely can still go through those steps during COVID-19. And a lot more of the embassies are opening in the US, I heard. I was just on a webinar last night, and they said a lot of the embassies in the United States for foreign countries here in Europe are starting to reopen now.
And I did get my visa during COVID, folks. I went to that office like 3 or 4 times because I kept messing up. Like I said, when I first went there, I had 3 months worth of, I was like, they can't possibly want me to say I'm living somewhere for 6 months and I don't know if I'm gonna get a visa. Oh, yes, they do. So I went there with 3 months initially, and they were like, girl, go home. We need 6 months. So I already explained how I did that. So if you haven't seen it, just go see the beginning of the video. I have Yassine. She asked the question about traveling and go ahead and sending her family there before she gets there, or wait to do the D7. As far as your family, I can't give any advice on that, hun. If you need someone to help you make a decision, I would say talk to some type of immigration specialist, but don't ask me.
Well, I was going to say those specific questions are very hard for us to answer because everybody's experience is different. But what they do have here in Portugal are immigration lawyers, relocation specialists. So they can help you to understand what it would look like for you to move your entire family here and understand the steps and all of the related costs and expenses. So it's always good. I mean, I'm one of those people who likes to have as much information as possible going into things. So I tend to over research, and sometimes I get a little overwhelmed when it's too much information, but I still feel like in these types of situations where you're making a huge life change, whether it's Portugal or any other country in the world, you need to look into these things and understand, what it looks like on the other side.
So as of now, I'm not sure if we have any recommendations for relocation specialists right now. If one pops up, we'll be sure to let you know. I didn't use one, so I can't offer any advice there. But give us a minute. We'll try to vet someone that can potentially help walk you through the process. I have Dan asking about the reservations for your flight. So what I did, so when you book a flight, you have the ability to put it on hold. I don't know what that's called. If you do it through the US, I don't know if you're on like Air Portugal or something like that, if you have the ability to, but most of the US carriers, you can go through the process of booking the ticket and then put it on hold. That hold is for a certain amount of hours, but I printed that out and I used that because, again, I understand that there is a little bit of anxiety when you're waiting on this visa process and you may not get approved. So that could potentially work, or you can just book a ticket that's refundable. Go ahead and book your ticket. You can make your ticket for at least, I would say, if you want to give yourself 60 days out from when you actually put the application in and it is approved and people saying that it's going through the process versus, and then of course, what a year from there, and just get tickets that are refundable. But that is what they're going to see. So I hope that answers your question, Dan. What else we got coming through email? Okay. Private healthcare rates are cheaper if one signs up after arriving in Portugal. Yeah. That is correct. Jamila just went over the prices that she's using and then the ability to get like a doctor very quickly. Okay, I think that's all I have on the email. So let me come up here to the questions. You can see the questions.
Had a question on rent. So I'm actually in the process of looking for an apartment. Chuck, you asked Do I feel like it's reasonable compared to DC or New York? Do they
Hold up, come
require?
up to the top, Jamila. Let's go. Let's start up at the,
I'm like
at the
too far
top.
up, too far down.
Yeah, we're at the top. Let's get the one that came in. I think that's Courtney Jenkins. So Courtney asked, asking about what are the holidays like in relation to customs in cities like Lisbon. So when you say holiday cookouts, you're so funny. You got to remember a lot of the holidays we have in the States is specific to the States. I mean, things like Christmas, that's exclusive, and it's beautiful in Lisbon in December. They have these beautiful lights. It's gorgeous. So I'm not sure how to answer your question in regards to the holidays, because again, a lot of holidays we have in the U.S., they do not celebrate those in other countries. Not all of them.
But they do have their own holidays and customs that they celebrate here, similar to Carnival in Brazil. That's something they celebrate here. That's really popular, really fun time, and they're very much into the religious holidays. So you'll notice there are a lot of different like saints for different feasts for different saints. So they'll have like days in which like stores are closed, restaurants are closed. So they do have their own holidays, but as Cinnamon said, it's very different than what we celebrate.
And that's in any country, guys. Any country is going to have their own holidays that are not going to coincide with America. We have Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan, thanks for reaching out. Chuck, we're excited to see you. Thanks for coming out. Government contract on Kuwait. Hey there, Joe. What about passports? Do you have to give up your U.S. passport? So, Janelle, I hope I'm saying that, Miss McBride. It depends on what you're talking about. So we're not citizens, okay? So understand there is a difference between residency and citizenship. And Portugal does allow dual citizenship. But in the event that you are attempting to do residency, which I'm hearing is 5 or 6 years, if your passport expires within that time, you are still a U.S. citizen. You have to go through the U.S. channels to renew your passport. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Hey,
Michael. Hey, both ladies. Oh, you're so sweet, Nancy. Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, Nancy.
Americans can go to Portugal. We handle that. How does apartment leasing work with respect to receiving the return? Right. Listen.
Well, I think every situation is different. So in most cases, if you have left the apartment in good conditions and you're in good standing with your landlord, most people I know have received their deposit back here. I know your situation, Cinnamon, was a little bit
right. You know, I had
but I don't feel like that's the average from what I hear from other people.
Well, what I would say is it depends on how many so sometimes if you don't have a guarantor in Portugal, they will ask for last month's rent, security deposit, and a guarantor. So that would be 4 months rent. And so I've looked at apartments. People say they wanted 6 months. They wanted some ridiculous. Yeah. So
but if they take that 6 months, though, they will use that towards the rent. So it's as if you're prepaying rent. So I guess there's also this idea of if you're trying to leave early before those 6 months that you pay in advance. Because even now I'm looking for an apartment and we would have to pay 3 months in advance, and 1 month would be the security, and then the other 2 months we're paying up front because we don't have a guarantor here.
And some people, what I've heard they've done, like if they were staying in an Airbnb for 2 months and they've gotten to know the landlord, sometimes the landlord will be a guarantor for them. So then you can kind of be flexible. But I have to go apartment searching again. So I'll take you guys on that journey.
But I feel like it's very different right now because of COVID, because tourism is very low. So what you were experiencing here, Cinnamon, a while ago is a very different market. Prices are going down. A lot of Airbnbs,
enough, in my opinion, but okay.
A lot of Airbnbs. I mean, from being here locally, it feels that way. From what I was seeing 6 to 8 months ago.
No, definitely cheaper than 6 to 8 months ago. I agree with you totally. But even some, just based on what they want, based on what you can get there, it's just like. But that's for another story. So that's on security deposit. COVID made residency very important. Listen, you ain't joking. So guys, I'm in the States right now. I fly today to go to Portugal. I'm still waiting on my COVID test, and hopefully we are good. I did get stuck in the US, but it was part of it was on purpose. So can you get residency? I think we answered these questions. You can get residency with COVID. That is what I did. When you put in healthcare system. So Brianna, Jamila talked about the healthcare system. So if you can on the replay, if you could check the beginning of that. I would recommend coming with the residency visa. I feel like if your plan is to stay there, like if you're not planning on living there, you ain't gotta file for no residency visa. So
you just can't come right now because you can't come on a tourist visa. So
yeah,
you would just have to wait. So if you want to come now, yes, you have to be a little bit more committed than you would be in the past. But I think in 2021, I'm sure once COVID calms down, things will go back to normal, and people can just visit and see whether or not they like the country enough to move. Because I think both Cinnamon and I did spend time here in Portugal before we relocated. So it's always nice to do that.
Michael, the DC office is open. That is what I used to get my visa. I used that office and they were very helpful. Good to hear, because I heard San Francisco wasn't taking appointments. I did hear that as well. Sorry, my San Fran folks. How long is the process? Brianna, it took me about 40 days. They say it could take up to 60 days. And it also depends on how long it's going to take you to get all that paperwork you got to get.
The prep.
Okay, how are the rents? So yeah, Chuck D, I have a video. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do something as I'm looking for a new apartment. And this is going to be after COVID, so it'll be more relevant than the last video I did on the apartment. So the rates are going down. To me, I just don't feel like they're low enough considering the average salary in the country.
But they haven't been, ever since Lisbon started to become so popular, a lot of locals you speak to can't afford to live in Lisbon. Like the average salary that people are paid here in Portugal, because there's so many of us like expats who come here, the prices are going up. So I know some Portuguese people who live on the outskirts of the city now. So
which
I
is
don't know if it is. I feel like we are all kind of part of the problem, but also really helps the economy because they're hurting a lot right now without tourism. And if you talk to your Uber driver or whoever in the restaurant, they want people here. So they are looking forward to everything opening back up as well.
Yeah, and I guess it's the same as any city, guys. Like if you live in the States, New York, DC, Detroit, all these cities have gotten so expensive that people who live there can't live in the city because it's so expensive. So now, granted, the salaries are substantially different, and in some cases they substantiate the rent. Here is where I'm having a hard time Portugal is I'm having a hard time understanding based on the salary of majority of people. Like, how is the rent so expensive? Do you ever get homesick?
Yes.
I
do. I haven't been home in a long time, but I do get homesick.
Do you miss home or do you miss the people?
Well, when I say homesick, it's more family and friends. I would say I was living in New York and working in corporate, so I don't really miss that life, but I do miss the comforts of it, which are family and friends and, enjoying the city. So yeah, I do miss that.
So Sharon asked about attorneys. Are they expensive American attorneys? Honey, nothing over here is as expensive as America. Like absolutely nothing. So, relocation specialist. Someone offered something. I haven't vetted these people, so someone put it in the comments so you could try them. I think it said timely. Did I mess up something? I think I went up too far. I messed up the comments, guys. Hold on 1 second.
Where are you?
I don't know. Okay, here it comes. Timely Solutions was a recommendation. Oh, that's Nina. Oh, she's cool to it, so she may definitely have.
Oh, thank you, Nina. I see your comment.
We appreciate you, hon. Can you buy property without living there? You can, but you just really want any country, guys. You want to do research on what the tax implications are in that country.
And from what I've heard, the tax rates are pretty high here to sell.
They are high. They are high. You got it. Go ahead, hon.
No, I was going to say anywhere you're going to buy, I would suggest you want to visit there first and scope it out. And as Cinnamon said, understand your investment strategy, whether it's to buy and hold it as a retirement home and never sell it, or if you're trying to buy it and then subsequently rent it out or flip it in a few years. Like, it all depends on what you're trying to do with that property and where it is. So,
and you got to remember, guys, if you're coming from the States, real estate isn't the type of thing where you flip or you get out of quickly. People pass this down in many countries to like their family, and it's generation upon generation. And sometimes you can get penalized with a massive tax burden if you sell before 3 years or 5 years. It depends on the country. So you really want to figure out if you like the country before, in my opinion, before purchasing property there. Okay, do you have, I'm meant to put the questions on a thing, I forgot. Do you have to go to the consulate closest to your U.S. resident? So you need to go to the website that I can't, VSF.
VFS, yeah.
Go to their website and they will tell you, you say what state you live in, they'll tell you what your office is. It's not really close to you. If you live in DC, I can tell you, you're going to go to the one in DC. But as far as what other state that you're located, you need to go online. I don't know but if you go look at my video, how to obtain your visa, it'll put the links of all the stuff that you can find that, and then you go to that one.
And when you go onto VFS's website and you're trying to get your, you submit your application, I think they also tell you based on like your zip codes, the location you have to go to, because it's very specific based on where you live and what state you're a resident of.
Okay, so Janelle, Ms. McBride, how do you find out more information from what is considered independent professionals or income requirements for Portugal? What would you say to that, Jamila?
I would say there is a lot of information on, so as I was saying earlier, CEF is their immigration authority here, and CEF has a website. All of it is in Portuguese, but if you go on through Google Chrome, you can hit that E, and it will translate everything to English, and it literally breaks down all of the different requirements for each of the visas. So if you were to come here as an independent professional, you would have a different visa than you would as the D7, which is the retirement visa.
What about the income requirements? I don't feel like I've ever seen that on anything. And I know people ask me like how much they have to make. Is there a number? Because I've never seen it.
So the minimum that we had to have in our service contract agreement was 700 euros a month for independent contractors. Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, and as you said, they don't make that much here. So when you think the minimum salary is 700 euro a month, and then rents are 1,200 a month, you're wondering how are people affording to live here? But it's one of those cities that's on the uptick.
So Brianna, I'm seriously considering the move to Portugal from the US. What factors solidified your decision for moving there specifically? So for me, I have a video on why I moved to Portugal, so you could check that out. But Jamila, tell us what made you solidify it.
I came here on a solo trip about 2.5 years ago. And I just had a really, really good time here. It was more of like a feeling. And I had this desire to come back, and I came back with my partner. And after spending a few months here, it just kind of had this feeling like I could make it home. So, I think it also just brought a lot of the comforts that I wanted as a New Yorker, kind of thinking about kind of having the city vibes, but then being close to the beach, having more of that like laid back lifestyle and a higher quality of life. So I think like the feeling, and then you just get so much more for your money here as well. So that was very attractive. And it's close enough to travel home if it was not COVID. It's very easy to get back to the States from Portugal,
yeah.
Where we are.
Yeah, from DC, I know the flight's only like 6 to 7 hours, straight flight out of Dallas. So, and that will be on. Guys, do you need to show income for your residency visa? Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, you said you saw something that actually said the amount, Jamila, or you just know based on the process?
Well, the amount that I stated is for the freelance. There is an amount for the D7 as well.
Is it written online somewhere?
Yeah, it is. It is on the CEF site, and I can share these links after.
Well, guys, what I'll do is at the end of this, I'll pin a comment at the top or put it in the description box as to what the link is. So we'll have that for you. Okay, what's the experience as Black women living in Portugal? So here's the thing. I get this question a lot. And I understand if we live in the US, we come with this level of trauma just because the US shows how they care about people of color. I would say if you don't travel out of the country much, you listen, I've been treated better as a Black woman everywhere other than the US. And so that kind of is what it is, whether you do Portugal or anywhere else. And so then from that, you have to understand, of course, we have this, melanated skin, and some people are just, racism is going to be everywhere, and we can't really do much about that. But I haven't had any problems, but that's not to say that somebody else may not. But I will say I've always felt more safe and treated with much more respect being out of the US than in it. And this is another thing I want to mention. So I interviewed someone the other day, and I need people to understand that I didn't just go up and move to Portugal. I did extensive traveling 3 years prior to deciding I wanted to live out the country. I decided I wanted to move out the country because I had better experiences when I left the country. So it was not like I was sitting in the US and then I was like, I'm going to move to Portugal. I was traveling. I went to a different country every month for 3 years straight. And when I kept coming back to the US, I was like, I can't do this no more. I would literally be coming from the airport on the phone looking for an Airbnb for the next time I left this country. So that's what you got to say to that, Jamila?
I totally agree with everything you said. I think being a Black woman is an experience that we all have that's shared, but I also think it's very individual as well. Similar to Cinnamon, I've been in many different countries all over the world, and I do feel like I am treated differently than I'm treated in the United States. I would say I've had more better experiences, to be honest. I mean, here in Portugal, something I always tell people is that there are African Portuguese people here. So it's not like you're coming to Portugal and you're the first Black person they've seen. Right. There's Black Africans here from Cape Verde, from Angola, from Mozambique. They all speak Portuguese. And, so Black people are here. And I will say, during the whole Black Lives Matter, at the height of it, when George Floyd was killed and there were people marching all over the world, Lisbon was one of those cities that marched, and I did get to be a part of that. And I did get to hear about some of the violence against Black people here in Portugal. So I don't want people coming here thinking, it's a magical place and everything is fine. But as far as the scale of it and dealing with it, the way in which it's in our faces in America, it just feels, different here. And I feel as if it's preferable, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But again, whatever country you choose is probably going to be a lot different than America. I'm be honest with you.
Yeah.
Do either of you feel you will ever return to this States, or do you plan on finishing your lives? Well, I can't speak to forever, honey. Listen, I got nothing on that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a fan of going back right now, but if something happens or someone happens to someone I care about, I can't answer the forever, but let's see. Okay, yes, airlines have waived some change fees. Thank you for that, Anita. Okay, so how is it functioning an English speaker in Portugal? In Lisbon, I don't have any issues. Many people speak English, and my Portuguese is horrible. I'm still working on it. But you can definitely get by.
I think it's good to know. I will add, I'm learning the language. I've been here for over a year, and I think learning the language does change your experience. So I do think learning the language does take you a level deeper, but in certain areas like Lisbon and Porto and Algarve, where it's very centered around tourism, you don't have to speak Portuguese.
Yeah. And you want to learn the language just to be part of, get a deeper experience. So I definitely recommend it. It's a harder language for me.
It's definitely hard to learn. It's not easy. Even knowing Spanish, which a lot of people say it's similar to, I find Portuguese to be more difficult.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nino, for your kind comments. We appreciate you. The food is amazing, Brianna. It is amazing. The food is so good. No, they have great food. The easiest visa, let's say a digital nomad. The easiest visa.
Well, I think that's the independent contractor visa. It's the work visa. That's that's the equivalency of what they call the remote work option.
So that's different from the freelance visa, right?
That's the same thing. Freelance, independent contractor. Correct.
I got you.
You can use those terms interchangeably because you will see them show up on different places differently. But in regards to any freelance or independent contractor visa work, those are the best ways for digital nomads to get here.
I'll say, so Kimberly is asking, what would be a comfortable salary dollar figure for a single person monthly in the city in Lisbon? So 1 bedroom, bath, walkable area. What would you say?
I mean, right now I'm looking for a 2 bed in a walkable. When you say, I guess, walkable area, like the city, the city center, I'd say probably around €1,000 if you want it to be furnished and have everything that you need.
You found something for €1,000? We got to talk offline, because
girl, that's why I'm like, what are you talking? You can't
about the numbers. You didn't go apartment shopping with me, because clearly. Sorry, we'll do this offline. Yeah. So apparently, so I'll sit. I haven't done a cost of living. I tried to one time, and then I just end up stopped taking notes, and I stopped paying attention. So I will try to do that for the month of, what month is gearing come up? October. I will try my best to get all my bills in October and see how much it costs. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, let's do it. We could do that.
Right. We're going to try real hard to do that for you, so we can come up with a real number from you. Because even in my life, I just be out here.
Even things like your cell phone bill, like all those little things add up.
Yeah. Let me sit down and give y'all that. So Jamila's saying that you can find something for 1,000. I have not been able to find that yet, but maybe she gonna put me on to some game, and there we go. Excited to try. Okay, do you have any idea when tourism will return? Why would we know that, honey? The government puts that out there. We would have no idea.
I don't know.
I had to get a residency visa to get in there, so I have no idea. Next one about is signing up for citizen. Are you signed up? So I don't think I know what this is. Do you know about this, Jamila?
Steps program. Steps program.
Is that the? Did I hear about?
Is that the?
You're right. We're both like, is that thing?
Like, I think it's like a traveler program, like a free service that they give you that allows you like to get some travel help and prep before you go.
No, I'm good. I don't need the government knowing when I'm rolling out. I don't need the U.S. government knowing. I mean, I don't care. I don't know, but I'm all hyper, like, whatever. Don't pay attention.
I think it just tells you, like, it gives you like some information, just like the basics that you would need about the specific country you're moving to. Because if you go on to the U.S. Embassy government site, like depending on the country that you're trying to move to, they have like a different checklist that they will help you to see. So yeah, so I think that's the STEP program. But if there's something more that we're missing, please let me know.
Right, because we don't. I've seen it online, but I don't know.
Good.
So I read that Portugal is safer than the U.S. Well, I mean, listen, there's a lot of places that are safer than the U.S. depending on who you're asking. Here's the thing you got to remember: in certain countries, guns aren't even legal. Okay, so the fact that people are getting shot and by officers or not, that's not normal in other countries. Well, in some countries, but depending on where you are. And so the thing, one of the interesting things about me when I went to London, not about me, about my situation and learning that I've experienced trauma about what was going on in the U.S. is the first time I went to London, which may have been like 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember I was in my hotel and my friend came to pick me up, and he picked me up from the lobby. So I was in the lobby. There was a gentleman talking to the manager, a Black guy, and he was really upset because they needed a card on file, and he gave them the card on file, but he gave them cash for his transaction. So they took his cash in addition to charging his card. So he was upset, understandably so. But immediately his voice was getting raised, and I got nervous because I thought they would call the cops. So my friend comes in and he's like, come on, let's go. And I was like, can you go to him and help him calm down? And he's like, what? And I was like, can you help him calm down? Because I'm dead serious. I was really nervous that something was going to happen. He was like, why? He said, and he goes, bloody hell, you should be upset because they took his money both ways. And I was like, no, they're going to call the cops. And he was like, okay. And the cops can help him get his money. And I was like, they may hurt him. And he looked at me because he was raised in London. He goes, our cops don't have guns. I go, I'm sorry, what? I never knew that. I never knew in London, the police officers don't have guns. So that alone, one, it showed the trauma that I had that I didn't know I had, because I'm immediately worried that something's going to happen to this man. And two, it clicked on, like, there are countries that are moving and thriving and they don't have to be as violent. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
That's what I have on that.
I did feel traveling here on my own when I did come here for the first time. It was one of my first times coming to a European city by myself, and I did feel very safe here in Lisbon, as well as Porto. Just to add to that.
Mr. Wright, we did talk about healthcare at the beginning, and I got that interview for you, hun, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I'm going to try to put that out at some point. Let me get my life together, and I promise I'll have that out. We did talk about health care at the beginning of this live. Is it easy in Portugal to find an apartment where a guard protection dog is allowed? Ooh, I don't know.
Well, it depends. I don't think there's a lot of areas where that type of protection is needed specifically.
I think she has this dog because you were very specific in the dog that you were referring to. So I'm
a dog. Her dog.
I'm assuming. I don't know because she says protection dog is allowed. I don't know. I'm assuming you own the dog.
Property.
I don't know. I don't know. Top 5. Okay, so I'm probably sure Portugal was quoted. Okay, do you have any ideas about? I haven't. Well, you might have traveled. Let me pull this question up. I just lost the question. Come on, Sen. You should be better at this. They were asking about Madeira.
I haven't been to Madeira yet.
Oh, Madeira. Say it again.
Madeira.
See how I butchered that? That's why.
That is one of those places that I am permitted to travel to because it's within Portugal, so I am allowed to fly there. But I have not been to Madeira as yet. A lot of the travel that we've done has been via car, driving to the south and driving up to the north. But I definitely want to go to Madeira. That's on my list, as well as the Azores. So, but it's very easy to get there. And I heard the flights right now, round trip, because of COVID, are around like 50 or 60 euros to get there.
That's nice. Someone's asking, do they speak Spanish in Portugal? No, hon, they speak Portuguese. Have either of you traveled to Africa? I've been to South Africa for my 40th birthday, and I planned on going to Mozambique, and then COVID happened.
Yeah. I have been to Morocco. Part of the reason me and my partner did choose Europe was to be closer to Africa, to be able to travel to the continent more. I did have a trip planned to Ghana that we did have to cancel this year, unfortunately. But when you are here in Portugal, it's a lot easier to travel to and from Africa. It's a lot more affordable. So if that's something that you're interested in, Portugal is a good location for seeing Europe as well as seeing Africa.
She said
and then you're close to Asia.
Yeah. She said they don't have guns in South Korea. You said South Korea? Oh, interesting. See? Feel safe already. No doubt. Okay, facts. Did we answer all the questions? How is your Portuguese? Mine is horrible. Jamila's is better than mine.
Eu falo pouco do português.
Yes!
Não falo bem.
Let's see. I've heard that you need you need to learn. Yeah, so I did learn that is I heard you need to learn European Portuguese.
So let me tell you right now, Duolingo is Brazilian Portuguese. Before I moved here, I started using Duolingo, and I was getting a lot of faces when I would try to use my Portuguese, and I was using Brazilian Portuguese. And European Portuguese people kind of look at that as a type of slang of their language. They can understand it, but they would prefer to speak European Portuguese. I think it's also just like a sign of respect. There's a lot of Brazilians here. I now know the difference and understand the difference between Brazilian Portuguese versus European Portuguese, but there is a distinction. And I suggest if you're planning on living in Portugal and speaking the language with Portuguese people here, to learn European Portuguese, which is what I'm doing with my tutor.
What was your question, Prince? Can you type it again?
Oh, sorry, Prince.
Oh, you see this one? Say this, Jamila.
Hold on.
Whistle bin. No, I said that wrong. I'm not going to do it. Hey, if anyone is watching this,
muito bem. Obrigada. Muito obrigada.
If there's any Portuguese instructors and you are interested in doing a group class with some of the folks, please reach out to me. Reach out to me on Instagram, because you can direct message me if you are interested in organizing a group course, a group just, one-on-one for.
And then Nino BK mentioned Memrise app is European Portuguese. So thank you for that, because I have been looking for an app to practice with. Memrise.
Hey, honey, better late than never. So yeah, what was I going to ask you? What was I going to say to the people? I forgot.
I think Prince's question is.
I didn't see Prince's ask this question again. I'm using Pimsleur, which when I act right and I listen to it, it was actually very helpful because it's audio and I loved it, but I just haven't been acting right and listening to it. Black hair, one thing, the books and learning programs. What? Maneuver in a salon. I don't think I know about any of this. Can we talk about black hair? Someone thinks books of learning programs don't tell you is there how to maneuver in a salon. Some things like comb coils. Honey, I don't know that in the real. I don't have no hair in my real life. My hair. Look, do you see this?
Yeah, I'm in braids that need to come out.
Listen, I can tell you, I struggle with my hair in the States, but from what I was told, from some Brazilian sisters, they were telling me about some various products that are here that clearly
there are products here.
Yeah, but as far as what to do in a salon, I wouldn't know how to maneuver it. I'm not sure if you're talking about working in the salon or just being in the salon, because you said things like comb coils as though you want to get them. Oh, because you said it won't translate, because I'm thinking that's what you get done here.
So what I always do is I bring pictures.
Pictures.
So whenever I go to get my hair done, I always have pictures of what my desired look is. And, most of the time it does match, but there's a lot like edges, so I got my hair braided and I was trying to tell them, don't braid my edges, leave my edges alone. And they were not understanding the term edges. And then I had to say bebe, talk about the baby hair. So you get there, but I suggest having some photos.
That is funny. No, definitely. So I think that's it, guys. We appreciate you if there's nothing else. Oh, hey, John. If there's nothing else, if you don't have any questions, then we're going to head out of here because I am on my voyage to Portugal today. Yes. I've got contracts for people who are interested in learning Portuguese for foreigners. Yes, please let us know. Can you DM me and see if we could set up a class for people who are interested? Because I feel like I need to have conversations in Portuguese versus just looking at some stuff.
It changed for me once I started having conversations with a tutor and with a group and just talking and using it. And honestly, part of it is just struggling through it, because what you're going to notice that happens here is because they speak English so much that even when you try to speak Portuguese, they will switch over to English once they realize you're struggling. So I find myself asking, I know I'm not good, but can we still speak Portuguese? Because this is the only time I'm going to get to practice. So,
and I have a low embarrassment threshold. So when I struggle and people see me struggling, I'm like, okay, I'll just go ahead and speak English. So I butcher it, and I'm working on it. It's bad. I need to. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some lovely person who wouldn't mind doing some group conversations, and we'll see if we can hook that up. So that'd be great. Thank you so much. We are living in Porto. Oh my gosh! Then you you gotta come make a visit. Prince. Oh, that's right, Prince, because I feel like you emailed me and told me you guys just bought a house in Porto, right?
Oh, very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, we have to connect. Yes,
yes.
Yeah. And I do like that area. I want to look for an apartment over there in that area too.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So we ready to eat? I'm gonna eat something. I think we're going. Yeah. It's outside? Yeah. What that mean?
No, it's in a bag wrapped up.
Oh, okay.
It was good though.
Oh,
it sound good.
I know, right? It's been real. I am on my journey. I will. If you don't follow me on Instagram, how do I get this off? Let me have this. I can't have that. Let's see. How do I get that off? Anyway, if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me. I'll have my stories about this whole journey of trying to travel back during COVID, and I'll keep you guys posted on that. We are actually. Oh, I meant to show you guys this. Wait, do I have it? We are doing the Moving Abroad Summit. Let's do this. soon. And I wanted to tell you guys about that because, wait, let's get that off. I lost Jamila. Bring her back. Okay. I wanted to let you know that for those of you who filled out the survey about the Moving Abroad Summit, thank you so much, because we have made the summit come together because of you and all your insight. So we have a bunch of people, 20 plus speakers that are going to be speaking, and the link is in the description box now if you want to just be alerted to when it comes out so you'll know about it. Jamila's going to be one of our esteemed speakers, and we're going to be talking about health insurance, dating, like a whole shebang, and we should be opening registration probably sometime next week. So just wanted to let you know about that. And again, let's see. Okay, yeah. Okay, guys, I got to get out of here. The journey starts now. And till next time. And next time we'll talk. I'll be showing you some of the Portugal life. Till next time, guys.